How's it going, guys? Back here with another video. Finally starting the AI rack. I know it's been a while since I've teased it, but yeah, here we go. So if this is your first video, I'll go ahead and step over here and show you guys what I'm talking about. So this is the AI rack. This is just a 12U rack that's going to be dedicated to learning about artificial intelligence related items, such as large language models, neural networks, studying inference and how it works and things of that nature. I'm gonna need it for my job eventually, so I figured invest in it early and kind of get ahead of the ball game, so to speak. So yeah, this is the AI rack. So we got a 40 gig switch. We've got a router, that's not really a part of the rack. It's just this is the router for my entire lab, for all the labs, for the big rack, the AI rack, and then the Xserve rack over there. The Mac Pro will eventually be a part of the AI cluster, and by AI cluster I mean just a grouping of AI servers. I do plan on putting an RTX 3090 in here, or RTX 4090. So here is the blank slot, which the current server is out right now. This is going to be our large language model and inference server, as well as training, and then we're going to have image generation. It's going to be an image generation server and playing with image generation APIs. So that's kind of the rundown of what we got so far. And yeah, so let's go ahead and get started with the server here. So what do we have here? We've got a HP Enterprise DL380 Generation 10. It is a 2U server, dual LJ3647 socket. It's gonna have 128 gigs of RAM, 2 Nvidia Pt.1 graphics cards. We've got our power supplies right here, our 40 gig networking, our 2 processors, and our heat sinks. A little bit about these processors. I think these are Xeon Gold processors. Let me take one out and see. Here, the Xeon Gold 6132, and I'll put how many cores and threads that is in the video description, as well as on the screen. So that's what we're going to be using. We've got the SSD right here, just a little tiny 1TB NVMe SSD. We don't need a bunch of storage because it has a 80 gig channel going back to the core, which is has a 80 terabyte array in that rack over there. So yeah, guys, I think we should go ahead and get started. So, like I said, this is going to be a LLM inference and training machine. Kind of a mixed use, but not mixed use. I haven't started the image generation server build yet because I don't know enough about image generation side of things. So, this is just for large language models, getting my feet wet into building neural networks and building LLMs. So, yeah, guys, I think we've got a pretty good foundation. Now, the star of the show here are these 2 Nvidia P100s, 12 gig cards. So a total of 24 gigs of VRAM should be fine for what we're doing with some of the medium models with some lower quantization. So yeah, that's the real star of the show, is the P100 graphics cards. We're going to have 2 of them in the back of this DL380. And yeah, I think that's it. So let's go ahead and get started building this thing. I don't think I had any more fanfare to tell you guys about. 128 gigs of RAM, 2 P100s, 40 gig networking, a couple of power supplies. I think these are 750 watt power supplies. I have to double check. In fact, I'm actually going to open these up and see real quick. Alright, so now I've got these opened up. It turns out these are 800 watt power supplies. This thing sucks at focusing, so you can't really see it. However, these are 800 watts. So I'll talk a little bit more on why I chose the P100 over something like a P40. So from my research, I've gained that these are kind of the best for high floating point precision workloads, such as training, and that's really why I got these. I do want to use this for training eventually. I'm probably going to have to upgrade these to the 16 gigabyte versions, but that is the main reason why I got the P100, is these are going to be a lot faster for LLM training. Now, some of the LLM training I'm going to be doing is like code assistance, as well as certain libraries. So, very, very interested to see how it's going to perform. And hopefully in this video we can get everything done from the install to the benchmark. So, let's go ahead and get started with the install of all these components. Alright guys, so here is the inside of the DL380 Gen 10. Give you guys a little quick tour. We've got our two PCI cages right here, 3 PCI slots apiece. We've got our air baffle for our two LGA3647 sockets. Can support up to 2nd gen Xeon scalables. Our DIMM slots, I think this thing can hold up to 2 terabytes of RAM. Standard bands, 6 of them. And then our SFF bays right here. We also have a RAID controller slot right here, but we're not going to be using because we don't really need any of that. We're just going to be using our one NVMe drive, and the rest of the storage is going to be offloaded back onto the core, which is an 80 terabyte array. So yeah, looking forward to go ahead and get everything installed. Unfortunately, my camera is prone to overheating and losing focus, so I'm going to get this thing cool down, and then I can start the montage of installing everything. Alright, so first things first, let's go ahead and get started with the CPUs first. So, first thing we're going to do is find our little notched end, so we can figure out how to get our CPUs in here. And, okay, it's on that side, so it's pointing that way. So, I'll go ahead and toss the first one in. Can never be too sure about these things. Alright, and I'm just gonna plop it in there just like that, give it a wiggle, and she's in there. So now for the next one. Of course, this is a matched pair. Alright. CPU number 2 going in, same thing. Boom, just like that, easy. So now, grab some thermal paste and I'm gonna go ahead and toss it on there. Alright, so I got the heat sinks on, and I did not have the right tools for the job. Please make sure you guys have a Torx bit screwdriver. I was using a combination of like mini Torx and like trying to squeeze in the gap to get it to actually have enough torque to move, and man, I'm gonna have to do a test fire to make sure this is actually tightened down all the way. I did hear it make the clicking noise, however I don't trust it, so yeah, please make sure you guys have a Torx bit screwdriver if you guys are gonna be using these DL380 Gen. I'm coming from Dell. I know the 360s use this, but I think I was able to successfully do it without a Torx bit. Dell just uses standard Phillips head, so yeah, definitely not used to this, but anyway, let's go ahead and get this RAM thrown in there. So I think it's white slots first, if I'm not mistaken. And I have a total of, let's see here, 4 sticks. 4 32 gig sticks. So I'm going to research how to put this in, and I'll put it in. Alright, so I went ahead and put the RAM in. It was slot 8 and 10 on both sockets. I also went ahead and put our power supplies in. Last thing is going ahead and putting in our 40 gig daughter card right over there. If I can get this thing open. And here it is, out of the plastic. Just a 40 gig network card, nothing special here. I do like this. This is my favorite part about HP servers, is this daughter card thing. Make it real easy. And these are super cheap too. That's literally the only reason why I have HP servers in my labs, is because they're dirt cheap. If I'm being 100% honest with you guys. Alright. I'm just gonna slot her in. This is kind of annoying here. There's 1, there's 2. You guys see that okay? Don't want to block it. And now all you gotta do is just push this thumb screw down, and that'll just go in there just like that. Alright, so now that's in, I'm gonna go ahead and put this back in there. Alright, so I think that's everything. What I want to go ahead and do now is I want to do a test fire, make sure everything's seen before we go forward with the GPUs and the SSD. Alright, just plug in the power. See the green light flashing, it'll turn on in a second. Let's see what we get here. I need to find my keyboard. USB dongle. All right. Okay. Looks like you've got some mixed dims, which is not great. We'll see if it gets past that. Okay, yeah, system halted. So, yeah, that sucks. Looks like we're gonna have to, we might have to swap around some memory out of some other systems. So, let me play with the RAM real quick, and I'll get back to you guys in a bit. All right, so I went ahead and swapped out the memory. Let's go ahead and give it some power and see what happens. I also had to go fetch a. Alright, so I had to fetch a keyboard, a wired one, because I lost my dongle for my wireless mouse, which is just awesome. Love that. Yeah. Let's see what happens. Gonna give this a second to boot up. What I also did was went ahead and hooked in the Ethernet cable to the ILO port, so we can go ahead and configure our ILO. Okay. Looking good, getting further. And it's got an IP address now, which is we're gonna have to change. We're gonna change that to, I think, 14. But yeah, this is a good sign. All right, perfect. So let's go ahead and configure the iDRAC. We've got 2 processors and 128 gigs right there. Boom. And 28 cores, 2 14-core processors. Excellent. So now we're gonna go ahead and go into system utilities here and set up ILO. Alright, so here we are in the system utility. So let's go ahead and let me get a good angle for you guys right here. So what we're going to go ahead and do is system configuration and ILO 5 config, network options, network interface adapters on, okay. No VLAN for right now. DHCP, we're going to turn that off. We're going to rename this. Alright, we're going to change this from 204 to .14, and, oh, come on. Boom, just like that. Alright. We don't have a transceiver in there, so it's fine. We're going to go ahead and save and exit. Yes. Okay, that's fine. Next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to put in my USB drive and see if it boots off of it, and see if I got an actual working USB booter. Alright, sorry about the noise, but here we are. Booted back in, and let's see what we get here. Alright, so generic USB boot is probably what we want here. I don't know what any of this other stuff is. So let's see what happens. Awesome. First time. So yes, we will be booting into Red Hat. We're going to be loading Red Hat 9 on this. We're going to be using Red Hat because that's what I like the best. And yeah, it'll work just fine. Very mature Nvidia drivers. So let's go ahead and shut this bad boy back down and install the rest of the stuff. Alright. So let's go ahead and get started here. So before I go any further, I'm going to address this. This is the absolute monstrosity of a cable that we need to power these Teslas. Now, these Teslas don't have standard PCI power connectors. They have a different connector, apparently. I think it's something more equivalent to a like a CPU power connector. So you have to use the standard DL380 Gen 8-pin connector, and it's going to give you 2 8-pins, and then it's going to go back down to a single 8-pin on this side. So had that backwards. This end is the DL380 mini 8-pin to dual standard 8-pin, and then this adapter takes it to this neat 8-pin connector that the Tesla uses. So I'm going to do my best to put the part numbers in the description if I can find where I got this stuff. It's been so long ago. However, somebody in the comments will probably find it no problem, because you guys are way better than me at finding this stuff. So yeah, let's go ahead and get this stuff in there. So first things first, I'm going to pop out the one on the right. The riser on the right is what I mean. Alright. And I'm just going to pop this bad boy in there. Nice and easy. And it's going to go in the first two slots here. Doing this off camera because I don't have a whole lot of good angles to work with here. I'm going to try to do it on camera, screw it. Alright, so we've got one GPU contraption. Look at this, good gracious, man. Alright. Oh man, I'm not too happy about this. This is ugly looking. Man, oh man. This is definitely sketching me out, guys, not gonna lie. Huh? Yeah, I don't even know here, man. I guess that's gonna have to work just like that. Yeah. That's kind of janky even for me. The king of jank here on Home Lab YouTube. Wow. Yeah, I don't like this at all. But the show must go on. Let's go ahead and get our NVMe drive in here and our next GPU. And this is one thing, I'm not gonna lie, I think this is cool, and I think Dell should start doing this. I'm a big Dell fan. I do think Dell is better than HP. And like I said before, the only reason I'm using HP is because it's cheap. You can see right here has an NVMe. Oh my gosh, this freaking dude, the focus on this thing is so bad, it's comical. Oh my gosh, dude. Okay, as you guys can see right there, it's got a space for an M.2 drive. So I'm gonna assemble this, and I'll come back to you when it's done because my camera is overheating. Alright guys, got everything in. It took me about 30 minutes to get all this stuff in. The cable management is not the best, I will say, but it'll have to do. It will have to do. So, without further ado guys, let's go ahead and get this thing fired up. So, I'm going to do a test fit on the lid. It fits, alright. Looking good. Alright. Now, for the moment of truth. Alright, get a green light. See if we get any smoke. Now remember, these things do take a bit to post. Looking good so far, guys. Alright. Got through the post, hell yeah. Let's get into the boot menu and get redhead on this guy. Alright, here we go, moment of truth. I'm gonna go ahead and boot into generic USB. And we're just gonna go right into the installer. See what happens. Good. Alright, there we go. Let's see if we can get through this with just using the keyboard here. Alright, it's getting really loud, but we're going back into the installer. Alright, cool. So, we'll go ahead and select English. Now, usually I have a Kickstarter to set up the basic stuff and then use Ansible to go ahead and do the configuration. However, we're just going to do it manually today. Oh, it doesn't see the NVMe drive. That's lame. Dang it! Alright, well, I'll have to reseat the NVMe drive then. That's annoying. Damn it! Alright guys, we got a slight issue here. It turns out my NVMe drive might actually be dead. So as you can see here, I pulled up LSPCI and I just did a quick grep for our graphics cards. The good news is both are identified correctly, and just as I thought, they are unfortunately the 12 gig cards, but my NVMe drive is not showing up here. So that sucks. I'm going to have to try to figure out something. I'm going to have to dig through my pile of NVMe drives and see if I can figure something out. So if I do, I'll let you guys know. Alright guys, so I had to end up putting the NVMe disk in a carrier. For whatever reason, it just would not see it in the dedicated slot. So whatever. I'm just going to go ahead and delete all this stuff out. Alright, server GUI. We're actually going to change that. We're just going to do server. And that should give us all the stuff that we need started here. And we're going to go ahead and make sure we got all of our devices, which we do. Our two 40 gig connections and then our 4 gigabit connections. So what we're going to go ahead and do is set the hostname. AI tag 01. Easy peasy. Can't really see it, but it is what it is. And we'll configure. We're going to, let's do this here. We're going to add an interface. And it's going to be bond. And we're going to call this bond tag GE for gigabit Ethernet. And yeah, we're going to leave that bond 0. And then we'll just, we'll do this. Bond 0 port 1 is going to be EN01. And we'll just repeat this process. Like I said, I usually have Ansible do this for me, but it's fun to do this once in a while. And here, again, 3. Okay. And we're going to do adaptive load balancing here. And it's going to be fine. We're going to set this to manual. We're going to go ahead and give it our standard subnet of 172. Oh, shoot. And of course, now my stuff is not responding. What is going on here? We might have to do this after we get into the operating system, which is fine. Okay, whatever. We'll set it to DHCP for right now. And then we'll do the same thing for the 40 gigabit interfaces. So we'll do bond tag 40G. My keyboard's not working for a reason. 40G. Let me just call this bond 40. And then we'll add EN05 and 5D1. And for whatever reason it is, okay, here we go. EN05 D1, and all this stuff will change once we actually get link up status. So adaptive load balancing, and we'll see if we can actually set this. Yeah, there we go. 30.222. And that's my subnet for my high-speed network. Don't need a gateway, don't need any of that. And then we'll go ahead and set the same thing for this. Trigger that. IPv4, we're going to do manual. Let me just do a quick check for 10.10.10. Or 172.16.10.222. I don't think that is taken, but I'm going to set it just in case. 172.16.10.222. Boom. There we go. DNS, we'll just do our router, pfSense machine. Hi, buddy. And yeah. Should be good enough for now. Obviously nothing's connected, so it'll have a link up status later. So we just go done. We'll keep the root account disabled. I'm going to just make the name admin like I usually do. Password in. Alright, done. Okay, now let's get started. And I'll come back to you guys when this is done. Alright guys, so as you can see, it's done. So now we're good to go ahead and wire this thing. We're going to go ahead and rack it, wire it up, and get it booted up. So let's go ahead and get started with that. Alright, so got you guys over here. As you can see, we've got the rails pulled out. It's going to go right underneath the Mac Pro. Easy peasy. Alright, one side, that's two sides. Nice. Oh. Good. Nice. Easy enough. Now let's do the real test here. The bezel keeps coming off, but whatever. Not a big deal. That's not normally right. And it isn't. It's like stuck, but whatever. Alright guys, I know it looks so bad, but it's wired up. This is temporary, of course. It's gonna look like this, nice and clean eventually. I know. It's absolutely awful, unacceptable, but the important thing is that it's up and wired, and now we can go ahead to the main setup and check it out. Alright guys, so here we are on the Mac Pro. Going to open up a new terminal here on the Mac Pro, and this is what we're going to be using to communicate. So let's go ahead and test if it's reachable first. So we're going to do a ping 192.16.10.222 that is reachable, and let's see if we can ping the 40 gig bomb. So do 10.20.30, and that is also reachable as well. Perfect. So let's go ahead and SSH into password in here. Alright, so before we get started, we're going to do a few things just to make our life a little bit easier. So we're going to go ahead and add ourselves, we're going to go ahead and modify our etc /sudoers file. So we'll do sudo /f/etc/sudo passwording. If we can type it in properly. Boom. That looks kind of crazy. Yeah, sorry about that. Looks a little bit wild. Probably have to change that. Alright, sorry about that. Looks a little crazy, I know. So we're gonna have to definitely change our font here. So go ahead and go here, and we're gonna add ourselves into the section without a password. So we are admin, and we'll just go ahead and highlight this, and boom, here we go. So we do an exit, and then we'll just SSH back into it to test that out. I cannot type today, goodness gracious. Boom. So let's do a sudo. Yeah, enough. So now we're going to do a sudo yum update so we can get our latest packages, and probably getting a lot of packages here. Alright. Okay, so I just went ahead and updated the system. So what I'm going to go ahead and do now is I'm going to do an LSPCI tag K. I'm going to do for Nvidia just to make sure our devices are seen. And there are our two GP100 GL Tesla 100s with 12 gigs of data. So we're good to go right there. So now what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and install our CUDA graphics drivers. So we're just going to copy and paste it here. Just copy and pasting from a guide I'm using real quick. So we're just going to, I'm probably going to end up running a script for this, but yeah. I'm going to go ahead and do a quick little make cache here for DNF. I'm usually use Yum, but I'll just do I'll follow what the guide says. So, alright. And we're going to go ahead and install the code ready builder package repository here. Alright, so we just enabled the package. And now, I'm going to go ahead and install the Apple release package. Alright. Next up, dependencies and tools. So, like I said, I'm just copying and pasting from an article on how to install PETA onto Red Hat 9. I've done this once before, I just don't know how to do it off the top of my head, so copy and pasting until we get to the fun stuff. Alright, that's just about done. And now we're going to go ahead and add the actual official Nvidia CUDA repository. Oh, still going, sorry. Alright, now that that's all done, like I said, the last thing to do now is actually go ahead and install. What do we do last? I lost my track. Alright, so we got the dependencies done. Now we can go ahead and add the official CUDA repository. Alright. And last but not least, install the actual drivers. Alright, now that that's done, as you guys can see, it's all wrapped up. So I'm just going to go ahead and do an ls mod real quick to see if the scriptlet actually went ahead and switch everything over, or we have to do it. So, I can't spell. So no, it doesn't look like it did the swap over. I cannot type. Yeah, so let's go ahead and do a reboot, and I'll be back with you guys once it's done. Alright, so as you guys can see, the server just came back, so I'm going to go ahead and SSH back into it. And before I go any further, I'm actually just going to do this. Gen. Do that. And go ahead and do SSH. Copy ID. So, admin. Password. Right. Boom. So now we don't need a password to get in anymore. Now I don't think we had to do a key gen on this, but just to make sure, whatever, it's not a big deal. Alright, so now what we can go ahead and do is we can go a few commands. That should have got us something. Yeah, that's weird. I think it's probably not going to use the Nvidia open source drivers because it doesn't have a graphics output. So I think we're okay, but I don't actually know here. So we're going to attempt to install Llama real quick. So we'll just copy and paste that. And Llama is going to go ahead and install and see if it actually works. Alright guys, so here we go. So this is what I ended up doing in order to get it to work. I had to reset the module a few times, do a couple of module resets, and then reinstall the driver from, I believe it was one. The point I'm trying to make is I had to switch it over to latest Tech DKMS instead of open Tech DKMS. And if I go to Nvidia SMI, there are my GPUs. So now we can go ahead and do I think it was LLM benchmark run. And let's see what it does. Alright, as you guys can see, for LLMs, doing pretty good for an average of... I forgot where'd it go. So an average rate of 29 tokens across all the models. Not bad for two 12 gig cards. Obviously, that's going to be good enough for just the beginning of starting my inferencing training and stuff like that. But yeah guys, thank you guys so much for watching this slightly longer video than usual. Hope you guys found it enjoyable, and I'll talk to you in the next one.